Yeah, we'll end it there for the day. So this will be the last one for today. Thank you guys again for your help. And chapter 6, problem 2. Hello, chemistry fans. Welcome back to Chemistry 1032 problem solving session here at the Academic Success Center on Broward College North Campus. I am your guide, Dr. Russell Betts, and I'll be leading you through this problem. So let's get into it. Consider the atom of sulfur. So let's take a minute to consider. Okay, it's considered. Is sulfur a metal, nonmetal, or a metalloid? That's a good question. How many valence electrons does sulfur have? It's a good question. Will sulfur gain or lose electrons in order to satisfy the octet rule? Another good question. What is the charge on sulfur if it becomes an ion? So let's, first of all, remember what the octet rule is. The octet rule says that basically all elements want to have this, the same electron configurations as its nearest noble gas. So basically all elements want to have 8 electrons in the valence shell except for helium, which wants to have 2, and so does hydrogen. Because we'll go into that later on. But for now, is sulfur a metal, nonmetal, or metalloid? Let's pull up the periodic table. So here's sulfur. Sulfur is on the right-hand side of the periodic table to the right of the stair steps. So sulfur is a nonmetal. How many valence electrons does sulfur have? Again, let's pull up the periodic table. Sulfur is in group 16. So remember, over here on the right-hand side of the periodic table, you can just ignore the first number in the group number. So it's group 16, but its valence electrons are 6. So sulfur has 6 valence electrons. How many will sulfur gain or lose electrons in order to satisfy the octet rule? It will gain. Let's take a look at the periodic table to verify that. Sulfur can either gain 2 electrons or it can toss out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 electrons. Either it can gain 2 to go to argon or lose 5 to go to neon. Now, elements are very clingy for the most part to their electrons. They really like having them. They don't want to give them away. They will in certain cases, such as sodium, we saw last problem, will give an electron away. But sulfur is going to want to steal 2 or gain 2 from somebody else to look like argon. Because it's so close, it can see it, it's right there. All I got to do is get 2 electrons from somewhere and I can be just like argon. So sulfur is actually going to gain 2 electrons. Cut here, please. Sorry, didn't happen. That's annoying. All right, come back in here. Sulfur is actually going to gain 2 electrons. So now, what is the charge on sulfur if it becomes an ion? So let's dig out the periodic table again. Here's sulfur. Sulfur has atomic number 16, so sulfur has 16 protons. So an atom, sulfur, protons equal 16, electrons equal 16 for a total charge of 0. Remember, all atoms are neutral. So all atoms, protons, and electrons are the same. They're equal. But now in an ion of sulfur, the protons equal 16. The electrons are going to equal. Now, let's pull the table one more time, just to look. Sulfur wants to gain electrons to look like argon. Argon has 18 electrons. Sulfur has 16 electrons. So in order for sulfur to have 18 electrons, it must add 2. So it'll have negative 18 electrons. Add that up, you will find negative 2. So an ion of sulfur will have a negative 2 charge. It'll be written sulfur superscripted to the right, negative 2. And let's put a little box around that. Okay? So that's how you figure out whether an element will gain or lose electrons and whether and also how to calculate the charge of the ion once it's gained or lost. All right? So I hope that video has been helpful to you. I hope that this made it clear. If not, please do not hesitate to contact one of the many tutors here at the Academic Success Center. And if you'd rather, please come on by and visit your professor during office hours. And with that, I wish you good luck and good chemistry.